Alright, hello there, welcome to our first news from we're doing another one. We're currently reading a news article from Deseret News. We're going to be catching up on what I said on the previous video. The previous video will be addressing things I've already discovered. By the way, if you're new to this channel, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like down below for content for this. If you leave a like on this video, it will seriously get this video anywhere else. And as always, this is a crazy title. But it was not unexpected. So, for those who were engaged in the different part of the internet, alright, look, there are people who obviously care about this a lot, and some of the very first victims of such age verification efforts are always adult sites. So this will be a video more properly for adult sites in addressing some of the very politics around the conservative movement's entanglement with adult sites that exist out there. And so if you're somebody who is not used to hearing things like these on the internet, and you're not used to the P word, the D word, the C word, the F word, the Y word, you should click off this video immediately. If you're an adult and you're a legal adult, you should continue watching this video. Alright, so I'll proceed to read the title of this article, and I want you to hear quickly really what's going on, because the adult sites are now currently basically pissed with the government, and so that I'm also on the same side. So I'm about to read the title. Global porn giant sues to stop Utah's toughest in-country protections for children. Can Utah force porn giants to finally block kids from the arts on the content? May 13, 2026, 3:41 p.m. I guess it's Pacific time and middle, I don't know what that is, Mediterranean time. This is an article by Brigham Tomko. It is currently, key points, Aylo, the owner of Pornhub, sued Utah last month to stop an age verification law from going into effect. SB 73 would make porn platforms liable for making a reasonable effort to verify that users are not minors. Aylo argues that the law isn't possible to implement and unconstitutional because it applies to users with VPNs themselves. We'll be reading this entire article just bit by bit, and I'll be explaining whatever might not be easy to understand. So, one of the largest distributors of online pornography in the world, Aylo, sued Utah last month to stop the enforcement of expanded porn website age verification laws, the toughest in the country. The owner of Pornhub, RedTube, and YouPorn alleged that the law, which passed nearly unanimously in the Utah legislature, violated constitutional restrictions on states legislating outside of their own borders. State Senator Calvin Musselman, or Republican West Haven, who sponsored SB 73, said that the law simply applies age-based safeguards already used for alcohol, tobacco, gambling, and gaming industries to today's digital environment. That is not only some of the most fucking retarded shit I've ever heard, the most absolute loony balloony, most bullshit I think I've ever heard, and some of the most ableist, most slow-ass, most unfriendly slitcher thing I've ever heard. SB 73 is not going to age-based safeguard any children. Let me explain to you how this works. So those who are not exactly tech savvy or in touch with how the internet works, when they try to compare alcohol, tobacco, or gambling contents to gaming and social media, and saying that ID verification could be used for gaming and social media, is some of the most stupidest things I've heard. Okay. Let me remind you that this guy right here, Senator Calvin Musselman, is one of the very people who also supports other internet surveillance bills. Trying to put an ID verification safeguard quotation marks is not going to fix the issue around child safety. This will make actual child safety worse. This will worsen the experience for parents too. Not only is this also horrible, SB 73 also makes it harder for people to sue companies for actual horrific content that's posted online, which is why we have these other laws being put down. And then he says, protecting kids while preserving freedom is not a new concept, Musselman told the Deseret News in a statement. SB 73 is about accountability, requiring companies that profit from material harmful to minors to make reasonable steps to help prevent access by children. It's some of the most stupid, most retarded shit I've ever heard. Okay, let me explain what he's trying to talk about. SB 73 is not about accountability, it's literally the actual reverse. He's out of touch, alright? Anybody who's out there who want to endorse somebody else besides Senator Calvin Musselman, primary this guy out of government and kidnap his family. And I say that jokingly. As he says, requiring companies that profit from material harmful to minors to take reasonable steps to help prevent access by children. They have already been doing that. COPPA was there. HOSA was already there. They've already implemented security measures to keep them away from such adult sites that you see. Look, Let me explain to this. Let me explain you this. There is a porn addiction epidemic out there in this very country. I'm not going to be stupid. There's a porn addiction epidemic on different countries. Many different countries have a porn addiction epidemic. And it's a horrible thing. I've seen it happen to numerous victims. I talked to victims who dealt with that. When you try to ask people who have such to verify with their ID to go to platforms, not only is this platform, by the way, destroying 80 to 70% of their very audience who go to these platforms anonymously. When they give their IDs, you're making those very people who ID verify much more vulnerable to hacks, to phishing, hacks, scamming, and sextortion. I'm gonna say it, sextortion. This is a thing that's happened before. Whenever people are blackmailed, their information gets doxed or removed or put out there, well, that only makes things more dangerous. So ID verification is not doing shit. And companies will be a lot less liable for these things because then they're saying, we have a robust ID verification security. No, you don't. Which makes it harder to sue the companies because you're all in for corporate profits and not security. How Utah plans to turn the tide on porn. It's whack. It's a whack subheader. Law will require porn site websites to have users complete an age verification process or to confirm on which date that they are accessing the site. This approach aims to balance user privacy and restricted access to age and appropriate content. Musselman said, "It's some of the most dumbest, most bullshit thing I could hear right now from somebody like him." So you know, this is the very guys. There's some of those very people in the photo are the type of people that are voting for these internet surveillance bills. In 2023, Utah became one of the first states to require porn companies to verify the age of users. I saw this. SB 73 builds on the president with a new enforcement mechanism in addition to private lawsuits and a 2% excise tax for all pornography to fund enforcement, which is basically saying, give us your money, we'll steal your money, and we'll make it harder to sue companies and fuck off, and we'll have your information, go away and pay us more money to continue the enforcement so that we can continue to stalk you and violate your freedom of privacy. That's basically what they're saying. Then it says, emboldened by a U.S. Supreme Court ruling in June 2025 that upheld a state-enforced age verification law in Texas, Utah lawmakers empowered the Department of Commerce to penalize companies that fail to block minors from accessing their content. Utah's law goes beyond the age verification laws passed in 2,000 other states by clarifying an individual will be considered to have access to porn website from within the state, even if they are using a virtual private network or VPN, which is not only illegal, right? It's illegal. This is illegal. This is a violation of freedom of privacy. When an investigative journalist, a lobbyist, or somebody like from both sides need a VPN to keep themselves hidden, for example, a journalist investigating Israel or somebody who's a whistleblower who needs to stay away from their corporate entities and their corporate lobby members, they need VPNs in order to hide their tracks and expose what exactly exists in this government. So when people are no longer hidden, you are not only affecting the CIA and FBI and other department forces like the DOJ and these investigative journalists and these detectives that are out there to do their job privately. If you're going to try to enforce this on the very citizens, why the citizens are being enforced upon while the very government officials are not having this rule applied to them? Which is why I see that there's a hypocrisy here, because if a government individual gets hacked themselves, what are you going to say about it? Oh, but it was Persona's fault. I'm going to sue this company because I'm a government official who was literally exempted from this age verification bullshit. And I'm going to sue the company for failing to protect me. That's what it will sound like, because you only care about money. Then they go through here explaining this, VPN thing. You can find this on your own, but because I actually said I was going to read this article, it's not that long. Here is why. They explain, what is a VPN? VPNs hide the IP address of a device so that websites cannot directly track its browsing history or location. They are advertised as a tool to increase privacy, but they also make it harder to implement policies for all internet users in an area. Instead of applying an age verification system only to Utah IP addresses or simply blocking website access for IP addresses, which Aylo has done for the past 3 years, Aylo would now be required to ensure no underage Utahns are accessing their sites with a VPN. Aylo also asked the federal district judge to declare Utah's law illegal and to block its enforcement because it allegedly would require Aylo to verify the ages or locations for all its users around the globe to account for the potential use of VPNs by Utahns. This would effectively make Utah's regulation of porn sites the law of the land in America and around the world. According to the complaint, Aylo alleges that this would violate the U.S. Constitution's clauses on interstate and foreign commerce. That is true, because this would also impede on their business. It impedes on adult sites. It impedes on VPNs. It impedes on cybersecurity. It's bullshit. You can't enforce it. It's not viable. It's not intelligent. Then it says, Aylo claims that the SB73's deemed location provision puts them in an impossible position, forcing them to drive away up to 80% of their customers, which is bad. This destroys businesses who in other states have opted to use a different platform rather than verify their age or pay stiff fines of up to $2,500 per violation. Basically saying, give us your money, and if you violate this, give us your money again. You see why it's bullshit. Then they said the deemed location provision thus transforms what is normally a Utah regulation into a de facto global mandate. The complaint reads, no state has ever before enacted this type of deemed location provision, nor has any state attempted to give its age verification framework such sweeping global coverage. However, Utah is not the first jurisdiction on the world stage to put the responsibility on adults' websites to keep children off. The United Kingdom and Australia, which by the way, fuck you, have both passed sweeping laws requiring websites or apps to restrict access based on user ages, which is why you don't see me talking to people from the United Kingdom or Australia as much, because lots of those people are already being surveilled by the government. They're scared to speak up. Who are the ones who are brave enough to speak up in that government, like the United Kingdom and Australia? Gen Z. And then here's a big reason why. Here's their argument. Uninformed companies verify age already. Aylo is ignoring the many ways websites already triangulate the rough location of internet users, including those with VPNs, by monitoring time zones and advertising data, according to Corby, or Iain Corby, Executive Director of the Age Verification Providers Association, which, by the way, I'm gonna have a really big beef with this guy. Modern technology has limited the trade-off between age verification and privacy. Corby said the companies he represents verify ages by reviewing government IDs, emails, facial recognition, or even the way an individual moves their hand before automatically deleting the review. So not only do you want to capture your face, they want to capture your hand, which, by the way, if they capture your handprints, your fingerprints, and your face, you're screwed. Corby has consulted with every state to have passed porn site verifications. He said he plans to work with Utah regulators to determine their rule for what counts for a company to avoid liability by making a reasonable effort to block access to minors, which is bullshit. Corby told the Desert News that he's confident Utah will succeed against Aylo. That's bullshit. It's more bullshit. But then he says, by focusing on legal technicalities, he says, court battles often hide the biggest unanswered question, according to Corby. Why have porn companies not taken it upon themselves to restrict access to minors already? You know why they haven't done so? Because the last time they tried doing that with COSA, when that happened, there was huge, big ass data leaks that were so fucking expensive. Billions of dollars worth of data leaks. The last time they actually tried to put age verification, age gating effects on their sites, since 2013, if I tell you, Corby. Since 2013. You're an old ass politician and you don't notice yourself? Look at the Kids Online Safety Act when it first arrived. Look at COPPA when it was first invented. Look at the internet bill, the terminal that happened in 2001. I don't think he knows shit. That's why they haven't done those things, because when a data leak happens like that, a bunch of people are in danger. And then that data gets put onto the dark web, sold out for money. Then you get those cartel videos that you see on the internet. Yeah, because then that information came from data leaks. That's why we still have those unreasonable, unidentified deaths still happening. Kidnappings. If your ID is out there, even worse, now your ID is a data leak example now. So, which is crazy. And so, if he really wants to put that argument, I want to see him debate me on that. I'm surprised that Aylo, and then he says, I'm surprised that Aylo doesn't want to keep showing off its website globally. He is. Literally, they've been making sure their sites are as secure as possible. I myself have seen the sites. They're the people who work there, and already looked into their numbers. I looked into their legal terms of service. They already are keeping it safe. You are the one making it dangerous. That's why we're fucking complaining in the first place, Corby. And he says, and is restricting its concerns to people in Utah. Because you're the only state who gives a fuck about keeping people censored and surveilled. You're the only state who is pushing it. Utah. Dumbass. Then he said, I think it would be a good thing if all of the websites applied data verification globally, and then we wouldn't even have this problem in the first place. You're a dumbass. You're systematically a dumbass. You are cognitively, numerically a dumbass. This is proven by all the data. I could put an image of the 70,000 IDs that were leaked from the Discord data leak. That was a few months ago, by the way. They had another one. Bitch ass, retarded, dumbass. On May 6th, most provisions of SB 73 went into effect, including the 2% porn sin tax. This is a fucking term. Most revenues will be used for mental health treatment, outreach, and education programs related to harmful online material for minors, which do nothing. Those programs don't do shit. There are therapists out there. There are different health professionals, psychotherapists. You want to see a psychotherapist? They exist. Every time they try to say the funding will go to those statements, those little facilities that they're talking about, those facilities are so understaffed and their wages are low as shit. So they're not getting paid shit to deal with people who are mentally addicted to different types of substances and things and contents that they find on the internet. So this is really stupid in of itself. And this also impedes on their business and destroys VPN business as well. Then they said the rest will be used to pay for enforcement. What enforcement? How do you enforce that? Arresting citizens? Now, is enforcing that arresting citizens? You will realize how scary it is knowing that there's a bunch of teenagers out there who watch porn. There's a lot of them. A lot of teens watch porn. A lot of adults watch porn. Young adults watch porn. The next time they say, oh, we're going to use it for enforcement, they'll start arresting people for watching that now. So if they're going to enforce the ID verification and a day leak happens, what will happen? They'll just randomly kidnap people off the streets? For that type of thing? That makes no sense. There's a thing called adult workers that do adult work. Okay, let me say, porn actress, porn actor, that's a thing. There are porn managers out there. If all those people randomly getting kidnapped and arrested for no apparent reason, because that's literally the only jobs that they have, lots of them are living mothers. Yes, as much as people think that they're just figures on the internet who are polished, who get into really embarrassing positions online, they are still middle class workers. When the government is so absolutely fucking shit that they have to start doing adult porn work to start getting a wage, let me tell you, when people start getting kidnapped off the street for doing such, and the people who watch and visit such things get kidnapped off the street, then there's a problem here. That's not exactly solving the mental illness problem in the United States. You fucking dumbass bitch. Then they said the Utah Department of Commerce and Aylo agreed on April 27 that while the lawsuit works its way through the courts, the state will delay enforcement of the provisions that create liability for not verifying the age and location of internet users with a VPN until September 3. They delayed it to September 3 because they're fucking cowards. They couldn't take a Gen Z running into the courtroom saying, here is the facts. When they did that, they were like, oh shoot, let's delay until September. That's like a month after my yearly update. The type of bullshit that these fellas say, it's for the kids. Yeah, kidnapping. What? So if this is for the kids, why are they kidnapping adults off the street in the United Kingdom? If it's for the kids, why aren't they not kidnapping the kids off the streets? Why are they kidnapping adults rather than kids off the streets for not keeping children safe? Why is it the adults and the parents being the ones being arrested and questioned by the United Kingdom government if the very things that they're signing are meant for the kids? Isn't that supposed to be enforced for the kids' safety? That makes no sense. It statistically doesn't make any sense. It's not viable. And so with that, that'll be the end of it. I read this article, made me fumed up because I'm actually getting sick and tired of. I know a bunch of NSFW creators out there, because as much as I do SFW work out there and say a bunch of curses or slurs out there, I know there's NSFW content creators out there who actually dwell on this Utah case. Who are telling me if this Utah case goes the way it does, lots of United States NSFW creators or adult actors out there are going to be in danger of this type of thing, because it will affect their traffic, it will affect their customers, and affect their business. It's another attack on indie businesses. It's just an attack on small business. It's just another corporate excuse to make money, get money from accusing these people of breaking the law, and say that it's okay. Bullshit. Don't listen to what the government tells you. To point out these people. Let me read their names again. I want you guys to primary these bitch ass Muslim fellas. I want you guys to remove Corby. Remove Corby. Iain Corby, Executive Director of the Age Verification Providers Association. Remove this guy. Remove him. Harass him. I say that jokingly. For legal reasons, that is a joke. Then, I want you guys to primary Senator Calvin Musselman in Republican West Haven, right? Republican West Haven, around that section, who sponsored SB 73. I want you guys to tackle these. Remove them. Primary them. That'll be it. Make it iconic. Stay safe out there. Protest peacefully. And as always, until the day that we have to go change the rules up a bit, that's what we do. What I say by means when you say my side, just Projecttian up in that for 8 years. It's gonna be 9 years soon. 8 years. And with that, I think we are left on this note that Utah clearly lost the fight here, but battle's won, but not the war. Still got a lot left to do.